TYPO3 14 is finally out, guys, and I've tested it for you guys and filtered the noise so that you don't have to dig through hours and hours of release notes. So let's take a look together at the most interesting features that came with TYPO3 14. The first amazing change in TYPO3 14 is the new UI. So the UI got a new feel and a modern look. So take a look at this and tell me it doesn't look amazing, guys. So tell me it doesn't look modern. This looks as modern as possible. So with TYPO3 14, we've also gotten major renames of the models, which made it clearer and more understandable. Let's take a look at a few examples. So we have the content model, it was renamed to layout. We have the list model, which was renamed to the records models. We have files, which was renamed to media. Also, TYPO3 14 came with a new color, with a new backend color, which is this purple. As you can see, it looks amazing with the purple. It gives it a lovely feeling. It gives it an energetic feeling. So let me tell you a quick story. So when I first started with TYPO3 many years ago, I've never understood what was the point of the list model. So the name was a little bit weird. I didn't know what was list supposed to do. But now that it is renamed records, it makes way more sense. It is simply a level between the database and TYPO3. We also can see that the sites model got also a new rebranding. As you can see, here we have the setup instead of the site settings. As you can see, here we have a new look. We can simply click on view details, which shows us the details of our site configuration. This wasn't available in TYPO3 13. This is actually new and looks and feels absolutely amazing, guys. So if we also go in and edit the site record, we can also see that buttons and the fields have gotten also a little bit of rebranding. Another amazing change, guys, is the new guided translation workflow. So we'll take a look at an example of how that looks like. Let's go here and create a page. Let's call it test page. So let's, for example, translate this. So by default, it is in English. My site is available in other two languages, which is German and French. So let's go, for example, and translate this page to German. So if I go and do this, I get this helpful guided wizard, which will guide me through the translation process. So first, it asks me if I want to translate the content of this page and make a relation between the translated content and the original content, so that whenever I make changes in the original content, they will also take effect in the translated content. So, or I can also say I simply want to copy the content elements, but don't have them be related to the original ones. So this is actually needed in many use cases, but in most use cases you would want to keep them related. So I click next. So it gives me a summary of what's gonna do. So, and then I click on localize. Perfect. It's done, guys. So I can go here and say German, and it is simply amazing. Another long-awaited change is a new TCA field, which is a country TCA field, which is amazing, guys. So let's take a look at how this works with an example that I've already set up for you guys. As you can see here, the TCA configuration documentation. So this helps us because we simply need to have an idea of what fields to configure. As you can see here with an example, it shows us how it would look like if we want to set it up for our record. So I've went and set up an example for you guys for the FA users table. So let's take a look at it. If I go to my records and then under users and do create a new record. So let's go website user. If I go here to personal data, here we have country, which is a new amazing TCI field for the countries, which is an amazing drop down which can be amazingly configured. So I want to give a clap, guys, for the people at TYPO3 for really implementing this feature, because it looks really nice and it serves a good purpose. So let's take a look at how I've configured that. If I go here in my custom extension, in my TCA override, I simply set the country field of the FA users to the type country, which I've also set the label field to ISO2, so ISO2, and the default will be DE, which is simply Germany. So I can simply manipulate that and make it look better. So let's go here ahead, and instead of doing ISO2, we can go and do, for example, localized name. So this looks nice. So as you can see, it shows me Germany. There are many other parameters. For example, you can also have influence on the countries that are being listed. You can simply say, for example, I want only Germany and England and USA to be listed. So you will use the only countries parameter and under the filter parameter. Or you can say, I want to exclude certain countries, which then you will use the exclude countries parameter. So as you can see, there are simply many good examples. You can also make it a multi-check box. So you can make it a multi-choice drop down, which is also very nice. Another amazing change and a new feature in TYPO3 14 is the translation domain mapping. If you are already familiar with TYPO3, you would probably have used the LLL prefix when setting strings as localized strings. So you won't need that anymore in TYPO3 14. We would be working with domains, which is similar to other frameworks. Let's say if you're already familiar with other PHP frameworks like Symfony, which already uses domains for translations, TYPO3 is going also on that road and refactor the translation mapping logic to be able to directly use domains instead of giving full paths. Let's take a look at how that looks like. So as you can see, a very simple and straightforward example would be package, which is our package name, and then resource, which is the resource name, which we will go into with an example, and then the identifier, which is the key inside the XLF file. Let me show you with an example. Let's take a look at the core extension inside the TYPO3 vendor packages. So if I go to the composer .json of the core extension in TYPO3, when I scroll down, I will see the extension key, which would be our first, which would be our package. So, and then we go to resources, private language, and here I have my domains. So let's say, for example, the local lang common XLF, the prefix local lang, we will simply get rid of that and use common as our domain. So I would write core.common and then go ahead here and write the key. So let's say I have other directories. Let's say I want to get the tabs here. I would write core.form.tabs and then 2 points, double points, and then the key. And that's it. And in TYPO3 14, you actually don't need to write the local lang prefix. You simply can go ahead and directly write simply the domain, which is, for example, here the palettes. You won't need simply a local lang prefix to make it work, which is also amazing. Let's keep reading the documentation. So as you can see in the documentation, which I would leave a link in the description, as you can see, this is all explained here. If you simply write locallang.xlf, that will be the messages domain. If you write local lang toolbar, that will be the toolbar domain, and so on and so forth. So if you use subdirectories, like our tabs example, you will simply write the form as a prefix. So you can also call site labels through this logic, which would be with the prefix sets. So here is a very, very nice table showing us all the examples that we need to understand this logic. It shows us, for example, for our sets, under the labels.xlf file, we would simply do felogin.sets.felogin and then call the key directly. Because I see TYPO3 is going the Symfony route and offering with every version a new command line interface utilities. As you can see here, we can use these commands to list all our domains. We can also list the domains available inside an extension, so inside the package. And yeah, guys, that's actually all you need to know about the new translation domain mapping. But also important to keep in mind that also the old LL prefix way is still working, but it is simply discouraged in TYPO3 14. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and tell me what other features you would want to see TYPO3 implement, and which feature in TYPO3 14 you like the most. Peace out, guys.